Hey, 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 good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whatever it is, wherever you are in the world. I am Lexi Johnson, and you are tuned in to the Wealth Seed. This is episode number 48. And as promised, I said that we would come and we would talk, give some snippets about the mission trip that my organization just went on and completed. And we are going to talk about it in tidbits because there's just so much that has happened, and so much that we can tie into various different things. And so today we're going to be talking about slum walking and godly giving. And normally when I come on, we have a crazy money story and all of that. But we're going to get right to it today because honestly, what we're getting ready to talk about is crazy.
Crazy.
Absolutely crazy, right? So those of you who are tuning in, you're watching the Wealth Seed. This is a Money Mastery for Her production. This is where we help women entrepreneurs and our male allies master their money and God's way so that they can provide for their kingdom projects, right? So, good day. I have a guest with me today, which is rare that I have guests. So, when I have guests, I'm always super excited. We have none other than my compadre, Elder Joan T. Randall. Go ahead and tell everybody who you are.
Hello, everybody. I am Joan T. Randall. I am a elder. I am a publisher, speaker, author, international missionary. Okay, I'm adding that. I am adding that, Pastor Lexi. Thanks to you. But what we do here at Victorious You Press, which is a publishing company I founded, is that we take the guesswork out of the writing process. We take the fear out of publishing, and we empower individuals to own their story, their message, their gift, their talents, their skills with the pen and deliver that message to the marketplace so that they can build legacies and they can create multiple streams of income for their families. So that's what we do at Victorious You Press.
Yes, yes. So, those of y'all who've been sitting on some books, sitting on some workbooks, sitting on
Time.
some journals, sitting on some whatever you sitting on,
Some
you need,
expertise.
okay, all of that. You need to be getting with Joan. Okay, you need to be getting with Joan. So wonderful. Hello, Joy of Hope. That's Apostle. I'm gonna mess up your name, Beauty, I think. I may be wrong, but he's from Ghana. Thank you so much for joining us. And it's late there. So thank you for tuning in. Some of you were going to try to acknowledge Facebook sometimes does not show us, not Facebook, StreamYard sometimes does not show us the name. So in the midst of our talking, I'm just try to pull up Facebook and see who's watching from where if I can. But if we don't call you by name, please, it's not because we don't want to. It's just because we don't know. It's not showing us who you are. Okay. So we've got someone who said, "Good day, ladies." Good day back to you. We've got someone say hello, Pastor Lexi and Elder Joan. Miss you all watching from Nairobi, Kenya. So I'm sure whoever you are, we miss you too.
Miss you too. It's either Patrick or Lady Jessica or Pastor.
Somebody, Nelly, somebody, it can be anybody, but we miss you too. Just somebody, man, we miss you too. Okay. And then someone says, "Welcome back." So thank you so much. We are a week, like to the day.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Yeah, today.
Yes.
We got home at like way in the middle of the night. Last week. Yeah. I knew it. It's Pastor TK.
Pastor TK. Hey, good to see you. Pastor TK, he'll be like, these people have renamed me.
Completely renamed the man. Oh my God.
And look, guys, I'm excited because tomorrow, throughout the day, I'll be interviewing all of Hope and Destiny, all of their staff. Pastor TK is part of their staff. Pastor TK, I was so close to putting Pastor TK on the flyer. I put your real name. I put your real name on the flyer. So Anyway, let's get to what we've come to talk. You love your new name.
I love it. He even put it there. It's Pastor TK.
All right. So let's get to what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah.
So, you know, when I meet with my clients, Elder Joan, or I'm giving anybody, you know, counsel as it relates to being successful in their finances, um, one of the things that is essential, hello, Peter, good to see you. Hello, my son is watching. Marvin, good to see you today. One of the things that I always share that is very essential is the giving aspect. In fact, I teach this system called allocating, and it has 5 different categories. And one of the categories is tithing slash charity, because it is essential to one's success. Um, there's this natural law
Yeah.
that says that when you give,
Yeah.
and you give cheerfully, and you give generously, or you give sacrificially, that you will receive in return. Now, it's not promised that you're going to get money back or a specific type of resource, but there is always some blessing that comes uh, in return.
Yeah.
So giving is essential. So if you are going to be a client of mine, know that, okay? Giving is essential. It is a non-negotiable when it comes to your, when it comes to your finances. So, Elder J, you want to comment on that, or I just wanted to?
Yeah, I want to comment because I love that, Pastor Lexi, because giving from your heart, it reminds me when you just spoke about of the woman with the widow's mite, right? It was all she had, but she gave it because she felt like somebody else may even be in more of a need than it than her, and as a result of that she was blessed. So giving is a part of kingdom living. Giving is a part
Absolutely.
of kingdom citizenship. So if you're in the kingdom, you have to give because it's a part of, it's like taking in air. It's a part of kingdom living.
Yeah, and the Bible says somewhere that the poor will always be among us, and the reason that the poor will always be among us is because we don't do enough giving, and sometimes we may give, but then those who are in charge of stewarding that don't steward appropriately.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're going to get into today. We're going to talk about slum walking and giving, godly giving. And we had an opportunity when we got to Kenya, our very first project, very first outing experience, as a group of missionaries, was to the slums.
Yeah.
And there's this huge area, very huge area. We only got to see a small part um, in Nairobi. And the small part that we got to see is called Lunga Lunga. And we're grateful to Bishop Nchogu, Lady Doreen, Reverend Gideon, his wife Elizabeth. Um, they invited us
Yeah.
to come there. And like I said, Lunga Lunga was just a small part of this large, large area. It's a large area, what they call slums. So, Elder J, how would you describe it
Oh
when
my
you
God.
saw it?
So I told you, I said this to you. I said I have seen shanty town living in Jamaica. That's kind of what they call it. The like slum looking areas in Jamaica, being born and raised there. And I've seen areas in the United States that we call, whether we want to call it the ghetto or the projects or whatever, but nothing prepared me for Lunga Lunga.
Yeah.
I was not prepared for what I saw in Lunga Lunga. And it was, I don't even know if I have the word to describe what I saw and how it made me feel, and the reality of the lives of the people that live in the slums. Because when you hear slums, you just think, oh yeah, it's a place where impoverished and other things like that. But this was way beyond what I would call impoverished, just because of the conditions that women, men, children live in.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, like she said, if you've never seen it before, yeah, you're just, there's nothing that can prepare you.
Mhm.
Um, was it you or someone who was telling us about, I think it was your friend Kenji that was telling us
Yes,
that that people literally, because oftentimes there aren't bathrooms, there aren't even
there are no
what you
bathrooms.
call pit latrines. Okay, so for those of you who don't know what pit latrines are, it's a hole in the ground that you
Go.
that you go in. Okay, that you put your waist in. Okay, it's just a hole in the ground, and
Mhm.
so they oftentimes the slums don't even have pit latrines. And so what
Yeah.
he said was that they would put their waste in a
Plastic,
um,
plastic bag.
bag or something, and then when they're done, they just toss it out.
Tie
I mean,
it,
they just
toss it.
tie it and throw it. Like that's that's how they get rid of it, right?
Yeah.
And as they tie it and throw it, it could land on somebody else's, you
House.
know, house or area, and they just, I don't know, I guess they just kind of
Put it
flip it
away.
off, keep tossing it. It's crazy. It's so wild, right? And you may think like, oh my goodness. I mean, this stuff has to be made up, right? Until you actually see it.
Yes.
Until you actually see it. So there are a lot of companies, a lot of organizations who have taken it upon themselves um, to do something
Yeah.
for the slums, right? To contribute to the slums. In fact, there are a lot of nonprofits or companies that are dedicated to, set up for giving to the slum areas.
Yeah.
So my question, Elder Joan, was
Mhm.
if we have so many companies and so many nonprofits and so many this that are dedicated to improving the slums, why are the slums still the slums?
Because I think that the people who are the recipient of these monies are really not pouring it into the slum community. I
Yeah,
think that is what is happening. I think they're taking a huge portion of it for themselves, and they're not helping the people in the slums. What I also found interesting, Pastor Lexi, is that we were in Nairobi after the missionaries left, and we got an opportunity to see the people of the slums, which is called Chocolate City or Brown City.
Chocolate City. That's right.
Chocolate City, right? And there were hundreds of people going to work. Hundreds.
Yes.
They lined the streets, walking from the slums to the factories that they work in, hundreds of them. And the thing that tugged at my mind and my heart is if they are going to work every day, why is it okay for them to continue living in those conditions? And if people are giving charitably to improve the conditions in the slums, why is nothing happening? So I feel like it's a double-edged sword, Pastor Lexi. It is the mindset of those that are there,
Oh yeah.
right? Combined with the greed of the people that are taking the money.
Yes. Yes. And yes, those two factors are working together to keep things as they are. I was reminded of and I think I talked about this yesterday when I did my Wednesday morning manna, but it
Mhm.
reminded me of, Christ, and he wasn't necessarily in the slums, but he met a need, right? There were people, they were hungry, they needed to eat. He fed them. He took a couple of loaves, um he took some fish, fed 5,000 people, right? Hello.
Baby. Oh, he's getting married. This is our
Yes,
friend.
I know. Congratulations to you. And his
Congratulations to
fiance is
you.
absolutely beautiful.
Yes, yes.
Absolutely beautiful, inside and out.
Yeah,
So, Thee says, watching from Nairobi, slums, Lunga Lunga, thanks for sharing the naked truth.
yeah,
Yes. I mean, well, as we were visiting and I thought about all these things, I'm like, we have to get on and we have to talk about this. So, it reminded me of uh, yesterday as I was talking from, hello, Pastor McKenzie. Good to see you. I know we've been playing
yeah.
tag for the last couple days. um, but it reminded me of what I talked about yesterday about the bread of life and why Christ was, um, why he responded to the people the way he responded, because he fed them this one day, all 5,000 of them, and then they were, looking for him. He had, him and the disciples, they had left, they had moved on to Capernaum, and he actually slipped out of there because really they were trying to make him something that he was not. But when they found him, when they caught up with him, and when they found him, they asked him what, when did he leave, all this good stuff. And Christ has this dialogue about them not seeking him for who he is, but only for what he can do.
Wow.
Yes. And so as you talked about these two dynamics that are working together, you have these companies, these nonprofits that come in, that are supposed to be helping this area improve, helping the people of the area to improve. But instead, what seems to be happening is they are either conditioning them or perpetuating this condition of, my hand, give me what can you do for me? What can
Yeah,
you do for me? Right? Like, okay, give me more bread. Okay, give me, because you go in and feed. We went in and
yeah,
fed about
yeah,
300 people. So we didn't simply just walk through. We'll talk about that in a moment.
yeah.
We were
Mhm.
invited. We fed naturally and we fed spiritually. Yes, Peter, patronage attitude. We fed naturally, we fed spiritually.
Yes.
And I also shared this message with the people that, yeah, we came in here to do this, but don't seek Christ just for the temporal things. What can you give me? Can you give me food? Can you give me money? Can you give me, because those things, as soon as you consume them, they're
Yeah,
gone.
they're gone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
As soon as you consume them, they're gone. And so, how do we, present something that is everlasting
yeah,
and sustainable?
yeah, yeah. And it goes back to their conditioning and their mindset. You know that. And I think about, it took a long time to leave my mind, because even when I look at the bishop and Lady Elizabeth, and I know they're serving a need, and I know that is why they're there, right? Because they're serving this need in the slums. And I think to myself, what keeps them in the slum?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It
Mm-hmm.
is a valid question. What keeps you there? And for those people that I see going to work, what is it? Is it because you were born in it, you were raised in it, you grew up in it, and it becomes a way of life? That was the question that I would love to get answered.
Yeah. So, as I meet with my clients,
Mhm.
many who, experience I'm living paycheck to paycheck. And really, this isn't about even just people who make a low amount of money. I mean, I got people who are making lots of money and they are still living paycheck to paycheck. So what that tells me is that poverty is a mindset. It's a
Yes.
mindset. There were these imaginary bars, like
Yeah.
jail. I
Yeah.
mean, that's what it is. It's these imaginary bars, these imaginary, these beliefs that we hold that keep us uh, in prison. So I'm always saying poverty, people talk, oh, because, it's less about how much resources you have, how much money you have, and it's more
Yeah.
about the mindset, right?
Yeah.
So hello to the people of Kissy. Thank you for joining us. So I want to talk a little bit more now about these companies and these, nonprofit organizations that come in. Blessings, ladies. Keep up the good work. Thanks, Mom.
Yeah, that is exactly what we just said. Hi, Mom.
Yes.
Exactly. That's exactly what we just said. Like what Peta said.
Peter,
You know,
yeah,
the
Peter.
nonprofit are sometimes thinking of a way to keep benefiting from. Yeah, that's exactly what we
Absolutely.
just said.
Absolutely. So they are content with these band-aids
Yeah.
because it is big business.
Yeah.
It's big business. And this is the same thing your friend Kenji said when we were there and as we were driving through and looking at the place that they called Chocolate City. And the
Yeah.
reason they called it Chocolate City is because there, they have, a lot of them may have tin roofing.
Tin roof, iron sheets, or
Yes.
zinc, whatever we
Something
call
like
the.
that.
Yeah.
And because over time and the wear and tear and the weather and everything like that, they have this rust look that is chocolate.
Yeah.
So his
All across the top, as far
all across the top.
as can see.
Yes, as far as your eyes can see. So they call it Chocolate City for
Yeah.
that reason. Um, but yes, it's big business, right? So even if you go on the internet now and you put in the term slum walking,
Yeah.
you're going to pull up various companies, nonprofits or otherwise,
Travel
who
companies.
travel companies who do these slum walking tours. They do
Yeah.
these slum walking tours, and they have people, walk through, and people get all emotional because you will. Listen, you will. Okay, when you see how the people are living, you will get emotional. You will, it just will have you feeling away, right? And you will be thinking, my goodness, I don't have anything to complain about, right? So it says currently we have government projects to have houses for the underprivileged and those in the slums, yet many tend to withdraw back due to corruption, and the affluent buy them and resell for
Wow.
profit, which becomes difficult. Some case will hold money from coming in to raise resources and assist because of mismanagement. We pray that true
Wow.
stewards of the kingdom be available to handle and
Yeah.
ensure true support for the enable. Pastor Bryce.
Wow.
Yes, Pastor TK. Yes, yes, and yes.
Yeah.
And that is the exact same thing that Kenji said,
Yeah.
Joan's friend that I had the pleasure of meeting
Yeah.
our last couple of days there in Kenya. He said almost the exact same thing,
Yep.
almost verbatim
Yep.
to what you have said, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because these companies are coming in and they're taking advantage. And unfortunately, we have this, right? We would like to think that people who start businesses, own businesses, are doing it from a place of grace and a true desire to help people. But some people are there to just make money however they can make
Yeah.
money. And so it would not behoove them to actually do anything that would help the people
Right.
have a different mindset, because there's no money in that, right? Because now
Yeah.
you have given over the power to the people. We think there's no money in that.
Yeah.
So it's really, really, it's really sad.
It's a very sad dynamic. And I don't know. I somehow believe. I believe that there are people living in the slums that have the wherewithal and the presence of mind to gather a group of people together and say, let us change this from the inside out.
Absolutely.
because it's not being changed from the outside in. And we can talk about corruption, we can talk about what the nonprofits are doing, we can talk about the companies that are giving money and the money is not going to where it is. And I know you're going to talk about slum walking in a little bit, but what about the people that are there, the internal, the people like the teacher, that I know we're going to talk about a little later too. But
Yes.
those people coming together and saying, this is our life. This is us. What can we do to make a difference, to make a change? I don't know. I just feel like it needs to start in it.
Oh,
It needs to
absolutely.
start in there.
Absolutely.
You know?
I completely agree with you. Anytime we talk about, change, whether it's change within an individual, whether it's change
Yeah.
within a group of
System.
people, I truly believe that change has to start from within. Now, it could be inspired by, it could be
Yeah.
influenced by,
Yeah.
a message that you hear from someone who is not, um, part, but that change really has to start from within. Peter says they really need honest and transformatory partnerships. I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree with you, because that's what Yeshua would have, right? He doesn't, when he was rebuking the people that were looking for him after he fed them, that's exactly what he was rebuking them about.
Yeah.
Rebuking them because they were only seeking transactional
Yes. There was no
interaction.
depth. There was no depth.
None.
None.
And he was trying to get them to understand the importance of having a transformational relationship
On the
with
inside.
him
Yeah.
that would allow them to never go hungry spiritually or naturally,
Yeah.
right? And so, yes, so they have this thing called slum walking, and they bring people and they go on these tours and they have people walk through, right? And I mean, that's it. They have people walk through.
Yeah. Walk through.
I
And
mean,
here's the thing about some of those walkthrough, and thank you, Pastor Lexi, for exposing me to that article because I'd never heard the term slum walking before. So when I read the article, I was just like beside myself because most of the time, the people living in the slum are unaware that these people are coming through to look at their suffering, to
yes,
look at how they're living, to look at the impoverished state in which they are residing, maybe to feel better about themselves, maybe to feel like, oh my God, at least I'm not living this way. I really don't know the psychology behind it, but sometimes those people in the slum have no idea that people are paying to come to do slum
yes,
walking.
yes, they are. They are paying some, maybe small amounts, sometimes big amounts that they are paying. And you would think that the amounts of money that they are paying, that this money would be then going
Into
to the people in the slums to help improve, but it is not.
no,
It is not, right? So people are capitalizing off of people's suffering. People are glorifying um, this suffering, and the thing is, when as a kingdom citizen, Christ would have us not be part of any of that, right? Because when did just walking through and looking at something ever bring any kind of change, like
yeah,
real change, right? Yeah, the people maybe they feel touched, they feel whatever. Um, Maybe they do give, like I said, they might continue to give to whatever company brought them there. But listen, people, we need to in our giving, and when I say in godly giving, we need to do our due diligence,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
It's not enough to just say, okay, I'm giving, let me just find, some company and give to the company, or I'm going to give to this company because they got this big name and they've been around. Or listen, we have to do our due diligence. It is our responsibility as kingdom
Yeah.
citizens to do our due diligence. One, to commit to giving. Two, to do our due diligence to ensure that the vehicles that we are using for giving, that there is uh,
Oversight.
yes, good oversight, but transformation that is happening. Like, are the people who are said to be on the receiving end, are they truly receiving? Right?
Yeah. Yeah. And that day in question, Pastor Lexi, you know this because I've shared with you. Hey, Apostle, nice to
Our
see you.
apostle.
So that day in question, I did not want to have eye contact with anyone. So even when I saw this whole thing about slum walking, that's why it just kind of like rubbed me the wrong way, because I didn't even want to make eye contact. And here is this group of people, right? A whole group of us walking through with orange shirts on and name badges on. And these people are just like looking at us like, what is going on? What kind of Calvary is this coming through our yards?
Yes.
And I'm like, I'm trying not to make eye contact because, first of all, I was just afraid of everything around me, the place, the stone, the sewage, the water, the so all my mind is I just got to look at where I'm putting my foot. I don't want to slip. I don't want to step in a puddle. I don't want to fall, right? So that's what I'm focused on. And for some reason I held up my head and I connected with this young lady with a phone,
Mhm.
and she was videotaping us, and her demeanor, and this is just my perception, right? Her demeanor was one of almost like, um what are you doing here? Almost like, who are you? Why are you in my house? Why are you
Mhm.
in my city? Right? Like,
Mhm.
who are all these people? And just because I don't know who you are, I'm gonna videotape you for evidence. Like, that's what I thought, right? She's like,
Right.
I'm videotaping these people coming in here because I don't know who they are. And
Yes.
I don't know why. I just stopped and paused and just like, did a little thing and put my fingers up. And then they just started laughing. So we kind of broke through that harshness of look, right? And after that moment, I'll tell you, I felt better walking towards the church. I started saying hello
Mhm.
as I'm walking by people, or bowing or saying hi or waving my hand, waving to the kids. And so that broke the ice. That broke because I literally had a level of fear in my heart.
Yeah.
And not fear because I'm afraid somebody's going to attack me, but fear of just the environment, of everything, of just what could happen. And when we got to the door of this church, and I guess they knew they were announcing that we were coming in, and those people stood and a roaring applaud. I broke.
Mhm.
I broke. I cried like almost the whole day. That day, I just broke. I broke because even in them not knowing who we are and our intent and why we are there and all of this other stuff, they greeted us with such love,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
that was I connected. That was my connection with them there.
Yeah. Absolutely. The whole experience, and again, I want to thank Bishop Nchogu and
Yeah.
his wife, and the uh, Pastor Gideon, his wife, and all of the elders and leaders that they oversee there, um, and the people of that church that live
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
We're grateful to you for welcoming us, and it was important to us because I asked Bishop when he requested that we
Yeah.
do a community feeding. I asked Bishop, I said, I don't just want to, you know, serve the people, feed the people, but I want to sit and eat
Yeah.
with the
Yeah.
people,
Yeah. Yeah. That was
right?
a big deal. That was the big deal. That was a life-changing moment. It was a life-changing moment for me. It was a life-changing moment for them. It was a
Yeah,
life-changing moment for all of us, for everybody that was in that building. It was a life-changing moment.
right. And that was, that was important to me, that
Mm.
we do that, right? That we sit, that we break bread together, because there really isn't, and I think you said this plenty times while we were
Yeah.
there in Kenya, there is no difference
Yeah.
between them and us outside of whatever
Just our
situation
circumstances.
and circumstances,
Yeah.
right? But
Yeah.
we all have stories. We all have, you know, um, various different experiences, and we can all learn from one another. So it was important for me to eat with them. So Peter says, "What did you eat with them? Ugali?" No, we did not have ugali that day. We had ugali while we were there, a few times while we were there.
Yeah.
But we had what did we have that day? We had rice,
Rice,
we had
beans,
beans,
cabbage,
cabbage, chapati.
chapati. Yeah.
Um,
And I
there
think
might
that
have
was
been one
it.
other thing, or maybe that was it. Right? It was a very
Yeah.
simple
Very simple.
meal, staples. But that's what we wanted. I didn't want any fancy, kind of meal. I'm like, what, whatever they're eating, we're gonna eat, right?
Sure did.
And so that experience was important. Now, I know we want to also talk about. I believe they called her Mama Judy.
Mama Judy. Mama Judy. Mama Judy.
So
Mama
I'm gonna let
Judy.
you.
I
I'm
love
gonna
Mama
let you roll with
Judy.
it.
Love Mama Judy. Mama Judy was a game changer. Mama Judy is one of those people that could be a difference maker. She is the difference maker currently, but I just see her as I would vote for her to be mayor of the slums, honestly. But Mama Judy saw a need for the children in the slums and recognized that they can't just be there running around and just not having any means of an education. And so she gathered them together and created a school. And in the school, she has different ages of children from the maybe four, Pastor Lexi,
Yeah,
all the way up to
I
maybe eight or whatever the age is, right?
think maybe more. Yeah,
And maybe even more. And she teaches them. She created the school in the slum and she teaches them. And I could tell that um her heart, there was something about us being there that she felt like she needed to explain herself, because one of the things she said, I know you see our situation, I know you see what we're living in and what is around, but I feel led to take care of these babies. And I'm telling you, that just touched me, man. When I saw all them kids just start piling in because they had all the
mhm.
kids come in. When I saw all those kids started piling in one by one in their brown uniforms, and it was just I think all of us lost it. I think every missionary that was I mean, it was just so. I'm grateful for people like Mama Judy. I'm grateful for her heart. I'm grateful for her intellect. I'm grateful for her compassion. I'm grateful for her giving. She gives of what she has, because 80% of those kids, that's the only meal they get
Yep.
when they go to school. That's it. She gives them breakfast. She gives them some kind of lunch, and I think she gives them a snack before they leave.
Something to take
That
home.
is and that is all they get for the whole day. And had it not been for that school, many of them would not eat.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So as we think about giving and things like that, and as a person who owns a business and who says, hey, we want to go out, we want to make a difference. One of the questions, the things that we discussed too, is like, okay, how do we contribute in a way that is sustainable,
Yeah.
right? And I'd like to challenge, because I know that there were a lot of missionaries who were impacted by that experience and many other experiences that we've had while we were there. And I'd like to challenge all of us to be like, okay, how do we? Because I have, a couple missionaries come to me that day, like, you know
Yeah.
what, we have this organization and we can really, we can do this or we can do that. And so I would like to challenge us to figure out, how do we contribute in a sustainable way,
Yeah.
right? Not these like band-aid things that
Right.
you have to keep coming and doing. Like, nothing wrong with feeding, nothing wrong with clothing, nothing wrong with, those types of things, because they are needed. But how do we get to the root cause of why these things are always needed?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? What are some things, what can we do that will encourage people, one, to have this transformational relationship with Christ, which was really, I really thought about the message that I was going to bring that day, because I'm like, these people, many of these people, and not just them, a lot of us all over the world have this, we are conditioned to be like, okay, Christ, what can you do for me? You know what I'm saying? I got a bill this month. Can you pay it? Right? The bill gets paid. Next month, you're asking again, right?
Yeah.
And the month after that, and the month after that, and the month after that. All this transactional stuff,
Yeah.
right? So, one, having people to truly know Christ and desire him for who he is, not just what he can do. Because when you find out who he is, he will be able to show you how to have what you need
Yeah.
all the time, right? An apostle just put it: teach a man to fish, he will always have fish. Give a man a fish, he will always
Need it.
need fish.
And I also, Pastor Lexi, I want you to share what Bishop Alfred spoke to you about the message, because the way you brought the message. First of all, let me just say this, right, publicly. Like I saw you in a whole different light, okay, in Kenya. Like you were a woman at war, right? That's what I called you. You were a woman at war, because your teachings, when you stood up on the stage, or whether it was on the stage in the street preaching, or the stage in the church, or the stage down in the bottom part of the church, or in the lunga lunga, wherever, your message was your messages were so profound. And I know that Bishop had said something to you about the way they received the message. I'd love for you to share that.
Yeah, I think I was trying to look for it, and you gave me just enough time to pull it up because I didn't want to misquote him. So Bishop Nchogu said, when Pastor Lexi preached in our Nairobi Gospel Praise Church, that's the name of the church that was there in Lunga Lunga, he says, I got feedback from people who had not received Jesus that for the first time they heard the gospel. And then every brethren who spoke during the time, brethren were edified, because there were a few other missionaries that came and had some short messages as well. And he says, and many souls were refreshed. That's what he
Yeah. Yes. I mean, the part about they had not heard the gospel that way, that is profound, right? That is, which tells me that although there's that church right there in the slums, maybe they don't go. Maybe they don't go. But now they heard about this community feeding, and that the Americans were coming. And so people just want to come see the Americans. And people were open, like where there is food, people gonna come. It's just
You
like
already know.
we already
Same
know,
here.
food draws a crowd.
Yes.
But I am just so grateful that with that crowd, we had an opportunity to minister to them. Pastor Lexi, and we had Tamra, we had
Yes.
um, Tamra, the both Tamra
Yes.
spoke. I think Dr.
Dr.
Lexi
Laxley.
spoke for, I mean, everybody just built each one on the other.
Yes. They were
And
very powerful messages.
oh my
People will not forget any of those
God,
messages, right?
never.
Tamara with her spy
Yeah,
message,
oh,
you
the
had to
spy
be there. It
message.
was an
Oh my
amazing
God.
message, right?
The
Being a spy for the kingdom.
Come
Oh
on,
my
man.
goodness. It
That
was
was amazing.
amazing.
Yes.
Tamara talking about, you know,
How
who
Jesus
Yahshua
looked.
is and how he looks, right?
Right.
And Dr. Laxley talking about togetherness, right? So, I mean, it was just amazing. You had to be there. God really moved. He really, really moved. Apostle says, Pastor Lexi is a gifted pastor leader. Thank you so much.
Yes,
Thank you.
absolutely.
Thee says, in Lunga Lunga slums, Pastor Lexi's message was powerful indeed. Welcome again, servants of the Most High God. Thank
Yeah.
you.
You're
Um,
gifted. You are a gifted pianist. The Lord
he
has
is.
anointed your fingers. And not
He is.
only his fingers, but his personality.
Oh my
Everything
goodness.
about him is incredible. So thank you. Thank you for that, Thee. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And definitely just allow the Lord to use you, because it's going
Yeah.
to be you and people in
Yeah.
your area
Yeah.
that is going to
You.
usher in this change, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Apostle says, I heard both of you minister while you were there, and it was amazing. Thank you
Thank you,
so
Apostle.
much.
Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, look, there's another time we'll be talking about, some messages Joan brought, because she's talking about me. She was just as powerful. I mean, amazing. Like the Holy Spirit did his thing.
Yeah, he sure did.
That Holy Spirit did his thing.
Yeah.
So I don't want to belabor the conversation,
Yeah.
but my challenge to all of us is just how do we give in a way that God gave? In Genesis chapter 1, God had created the entire earth, right? And then he handed over the keys to earth to
Yeah.
Adam, right? And Eve, and said, be fruitful,
Multiply.
multiply, right? And subdue. You need to have dominion. Um, and so we have the power to influence, to encourage people to come out of a poverty mindset. We have the power, we have the influence, we have all that we need, resources. We have everything we need. We have. God has given it to us, so that I want to put these companies and these organizations out of business.
Yeah. That's why I'm telling you, there has to be somebody from the inside. Somebody from the inside has to rally the troops. You get like a Thee, and you get like Mama Judy, and you get some other people. You get like the bishop, Lady
Gideon, yep.
Elizabeth, you know.
Why?
Yeah,
You get people like that, right?
yeah,
And so, yes, how do they from within rally this change?
yeah.
That's something I can support all day long.
All day long, because now there's no organization per se that we're sending funds to, right? The funds is going to the people that need it most. And of course,
Absolutely.
they have to have their own oversight and their own committee and all of that good stuff. But I just believe that change starts from within those walls of Lunga Lunga.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So yes, it was an amazing experience. I hope our discussion today really has got you thinking.
Yeah.
Those of you that are watching, and just challenges you. And we're not saying, hey, go send money to everybody go send their money to Lunga Lunga. But what we're saying is, just wherever you are in your part of the world,
Yeah.
what can you do? Lunga Lunga is not the only place that this is happening in. There are slums in a lot of places, a lot of countries.
India.
Um, yeah, all over. And to be frank, even this happens even in America.
Yeah.
There are companies that are supposed to be taking care of people, and
Mhm.
they may not necessarily be doing so, right? So I wanted to bring just some light to that. I'm grateful again to Bishop Nchogu, to his wife, to Reverend Gideon, his wife Elizabeth, to um, members like the Gospel Praise Church, that members of that community, for allowing us to be there,
Yeah.
and for not just taking advantage of the physical meal, but being there for the spiritual meal
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
well, because they were there, right? Like they could have
We're
got up
there.
and they were there.
They were there, and we were all watching that keyboard. We were all watching him on that keyboard, man. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Any final thoughts you want to give, Elder?
Hey Sandy, Donna, thank you for joining. You know what? I will say this experience has been a life-changing experience for me. It was my first time doing missionary work, and I think I am bitten by the missionary bug because I said yes to our next missionary trip that's coming up next year. But in all things considered, I so grateful that in my lifetime I got an opportunity to make an impact in an entire community, in different communities, because it was Mombasa, it was Nairobi, it was Lunga
Yes.
Lunga, it was
Kali.
Kitale, it was, Suringai Pefa, it was Baraka Pefa,
Yes.
so we got an opportunity to impact and to be able to say, God called, I answered, He sent me, and I went, and lives were changed. I'll never forget that.
Yeah.
And it has been just what a moment, what an incredibly humbling experience, what a high that I came
Yes.
back with. It's just 1,150 souls. It's mind blowing. It's
Yeah.
mind blowing.
Absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely. Definitely mind blowing. You start seeing
yeah,
all the hands that were going up, wanted to accept Christ. It was just absolutely amazing. And that right there
yeah.
was worth every sacrifice,
It was
every
worth every
trial,
pain, every
every
tears,
everything,
everything
uh,
I experienced.
all the preparation,
All
all
of
the
it.
it was worth everything. It was worth everything. And so yeah, so keep tuning in. I know Elder Joan is doing some series on
Yeah,
her platform, interviewing some of the missionaries that have gone and getting their reflections. I'll be on her platform tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. So join us then. And also, I am tomorrow throughout the day tomorrow, and there'll be posts about this. Um, Dennis, hello, how are you? He says, you
Dennis.
really blessed us, Pastor Lexi and Joan. We love you. We love you too. We love you too. Um, Tomorrow, I am excited because I have the opportunity to bring all of the Hope and Destiny Foundation staff tomorrow to chat with them and get their reflections. So, we're talking about Minister Patrick and Lady Jessica. We're talking about Pastor Grace, Pastor TK, Pastor Boniface, Pastor, yeah, all of them. Okay, they're going to be on at different times, but they're going to be on so that they can share their reflections, and so we can share with you just how amazing they are. Right? We can keep them a secret, but keep them all to ourselves. But no, we want all the world to know how amazing these people are. But they're amazing because um, they allow God to use them.
Yeah, most definitely. They allow God to use them. They were accommodating, they were open, they loved on us. They loved on us. Oh
They
my
did. They took care of us.
boy,
They
I tell you.
absolutely did, right?
Yeah.
Hey, Anita, and she says, "Oh yeah, Katali was so much blessed. We have a lot of testimonies."
Yeah.
And
Ooh, you want to
thank
hear
you for saying that because thank you for that reminder, Anita, because we're going to have people from these various areas who have testimonies um, out of this mission to
yes.
come and share as well, right? So we're not just going to be hearing from the leaders, we're not just going to be hearing from the missionaries, right? Because we can say, our stories are great, but you'd be like, we want to hear from the people, right? And
Yeah.
so you'll get an opportunity to hear from some of the people as well share their testimonies about how this mission has impacted them. So, anyway, we've been here long enough.
I
Longer than I had planned.
know.
But please make giving an essential, make it a non negotiable. Make it a non negotiable in your finances. And when you give, do your due diligence. And, of course, as the money coach, I always talk about, you have an allocation, right? So there's a minimum requirement God has as far as tithe, 10%. That's the minimum. Right? And then, allocate another percentage for just giving, charity, whether that's going to a church or some organization or whatever the case may be. But make that a non-negotiable in your finances and
Yeah,
watch how the Lord blesses you.
yeah,
Watch how the Lord blesses you. I'm not saying you get money in return. I'm
right.
saying watch how the Lord blesses you. People who are successful financially give.
Yeah,
Giving is an automatic part of that. So
yeah.
anyway,
Praise God.
you want to say something?
No, that's it. That's good. That's
Let
good.
me cut you off. Anyway, like I said, thank you for tuning in. All of you, share this broadcast out so that others can hear about this as well. You never know who's out there and who has the influence or the ability to do what. So share this out. We thank you for joining, and we'll see you next Thursday with another episode of The Wealth Seed. I want to thank my guest, Elder Joan T. Randall, for joining me today.
Yes.
Love you guys. See you
Love
next
you,
time.
everyone. Thank you for joining us. Bye.